Welcome to Ending the Stupid Gender War. This show will go over the most common gender war arguments there are today between men and women. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely do share this with others. It could make a lasting impact in a positive way in their lives. Let us go ahead and begin, shall we? What do we have in store for today's maybe stupid or valid points from either side? All right, diving deep into it as always, beginning with the women. Let's see what they're saying here is valid or stupid. On dating app profiles, if I see one more man's profile with a dead fish, a gym mirror selfie, and fluent in sarcasm, I'm gonna lose it. Your entire personality is a meme from 2014, and you wonder why you're still single. We'll take a closer look at that. Let's see what her point is. Women are exhausted by men who put zero original thought into presenting themselves, relying on low-effort, recycled tropes that signal a lack of self-awareness or depth. All right, is it really, though? Let's take a look at that. A man's profile with a dead fish. Okay, so he likes fishing? Okay, what if he really does like fishing, though? And a gym mirror selfie, that's great that he goes to the gym. And fluent in sarcasm. Well, he's trying too hard to be funny. There's nothing wrong with that. So 1 point for the men. Yeah, that belongs in the garbage bin. What are you talking about? Number 2, on mansplaining and podcasts. Men who get their entire worldview from misogynist podcast bros are the most confident and least informed people on the planet. You're not red-pilled. You're just regurgitating hateful talking points you pay $10 a month to hear. The point is, women see a direct link between men consuming certain online content and the rise of arrogant, anti-woman rhetoric in everyday interactions. Yeah, I do have to agree with this. You know, point for the women, it's not mansplaining. That's such a stupid term. Got to give her like minus half a point there. But yes, podcast, you know, just today, thanks to a viewer of mine, pointed out a young woman who hates all men, and there she is with over 500,000 subscribers talking trash about men. And it's like, wow, who hurt you in your past? You know, it's just really despicable. It really is. All the man hating, all the women hating. And then she doesn't even know the plural form for woman. She says woman, woman. No, it's woman singular and women plural. Go back to school. So there's a lot of hatred online with YouTubers. You know, there's, women who hate all men. And then there's men who hate all women. Have to emphasize the plurals there. Somebody failed elementary. And, it's really pathetic. So I have to give her credit here. But minus half a point for the mansplaining word. Gotta stop using that immature term. All right. So on male loneliness, let's see what she has to say here. Men will have the emotional openness of a brick wall. That could be true. Because they're weak and, quiet. Silence is weakness. Yeah, that's true. Not all men, obviously. Do zero work on themselves. Well, that could be true if it's laziness or lack of willpower, sure. Have no genuine friendships. Well, you don't have to have friendships in order to be significant. I mean, it's healthy to have maybe at least one friendship that's solid, genuine. And then go online to blame women for the male loneliness epidemic. No. That's not dependent on if you have genuine friends or not. Work on themselves, that's very vague. You have to be very more specific here. That's still not quite applicable for the male loneliness epidemic. Emotional openness, yes, because they just suck at trying to find a good partner. So then they complain that, oh, there's no good women out there. I tried. No, you didn't, you idiot. You only tried for maybe 1, 2, 3, a handful of women. It didn't go good because you just suck at trying to find the right partner. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to crawl into a little corner and cry your whole entire life away, it's just going to be your fault. All the fingers are pointing at you, including your own fingers. Yeah, so the male loneliness epidemic is really pathetic. Now, if you're struggling to find a partner, that's legit, as long as you don't stop trying to find the right partner for you. You see what I mean? The male loneliness epidemic should not even exist. The reason why it does exist is because men are failing at trying to find the right partner, and then they give up, and then they have to label it male loneliness epidemic. Many of them claim that no, men didn't label male loneliness epidemic, the women did. Nobody. I've seen people, literally men and women, call it the male loneliness epidemic, because the men who failed, and they're still failing because that's all they do is sit and complain 24/7 and hate all women, they use it as a crutch to say we're suffering because the women are all toxic. No, it's because you don't know how to find the right one. And then the women use it as an insult weapon, an insulting weapon against men. They say, well, like what she's doing here, some of this is legit. The only one that's legit is the first part, emotional openness of a brick wall. Yes, that's true, but not the other parts here. Now, they will go online and blame women, so that one's true too. It's like a sandwich here, okay? Yes, no, yes. And then so she goes on to say, we are not your free therapists or emotional rehab centers. The point is women reject the narrative that they are responsible for solving a crisis of male connection that stems from men's own refusal to cultivate emotional skills and community. Yes, so 1 point for the women here, because there's a lot of pathetic men out there. And I mean this with all the care in the world. It's not insulting, it's the truth. Because if the shoe fits, you gotta wear it. Because you're refusing to put on a different pair of sneakers. You have to have the willpower to get it right. It doesn't matter how many times you tried. When you fail, is you only fail when you give up. That's when you truly failed. If you're struggling to find the right person, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you never give up. The moment you give up is the moment you failed yourself. You don't owe the world nothing, but you owe yourself the world. That's failure when you choose to give up on yourself. I can't respect you at that point. Yeah, but I'm okay alone. I don't care. You're miserable, and you're going to live in denial. You're going to be part of the problem, not the solution. It's a bonfire of ignorance and stupidity out there. That's why I label it the stupid gender war. You want to be a part of that? Or you want to be part of the solution to that? Make up your mind, because I'm not going to have any mercy for those guys out there who say, I'm fine with my video games and my movies and living alone in my man cave. You're literally rotting away, dying alone, thinking that you're happy when you know you're not. And you're lying to the world by saying that you are. So I'm not going to respect you. I don't care how good you are at video games, how many movies you know, comic books, cartoons. It's all rubbish. If you don't have the love of your life by your side, which I can help you with, then you're the one failing in your own life. That's not coming from me. That's coming from you, because you know that's true and you don't want to hear it. I've had males in the past who don't deserve to be called real men, whine and complain in the comment section. I can't approve those comments because they're trying to attack me, trying to use me as their punching bag. No, you loser. Go back offline and cry yourself to sleep like you do every single day. I have nothing to do with your misery. Just because I'm up here spewing facts, that doesn't mean that you get to try to use me as your virtual punching bag. It's not going to work, buddy. So with that said, yeah, 1 point for the women here. On aesthetics and effort, men will have a crusty, yellowing PC setup, dressed like a middle schooler on laundry day, and then have the audacity to rate women's bodies online. Fix your own ecosystem before you critique others, or ours. Okay, that could be true. The point is, this attacks the hypocrisy of men who hold women to high physical standards while demonstrating zero pride or effort in their own appearance and environment. Yes, I've seen this. I've seen a lot of men online critique, women till kingdom come. Yes, that's a very valid point. Now, not all men, obviously. Some of them have legit critiques. But a lot of them are stupid, like just basic cosmetic stuff, like, oh, she has artificial breasts, she got breast augmentation. That's stupid. No, you're stupid for calling that out. Women have a choice to do whatever they want with their bodies, even if they end up with fish lips in a bad situation, right? That's still their choice. Now, you can laugh at that if you want. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's really sad in my opinion. But I can see the humor in that. But not everything is fish lips, right? Many times it's like, okay, no, she's an attractive woman. She's just got maybe a procedure or two. That's her choice. It's called cosmetic procedures. Or maybe she's using a filter. Who cares? Do you know her personally? No, you don't. So you should pretty much stop it. I don't know why you're critiquing strangers online. What a waste of time. Real men have things that are, better things to do. And she is right here. Why don't you learn to work on yourselves? You can't throw rocks from a glass house, right? Another point for the women here. What can I say? It's very true. I see it online all the time. Like weak, pathetic, stupid men, trying to bash on women just because of their appearance. Like I said, rocks from a glass house. On logical debates, a man's favorite phrase is, well, actually, followed by the most emotionally charged, ignorant take you've ever heard. Well, actually. Okay, let's see what she means by that. Your logic is just your feelings in a trench coat. Okay, what do you mean by that? The point is, women are calling out the tendency of some men to hide biased, emotional reactions behind a veneer of false rationality, especially in online arguments. I don't know, because logic is subjective, and so is intelligence. Some people call other people intelligent when I don't see an ounce of intelligence or logic. So let's try to see what she means here, because I'm going to maybe pass this one up. A man's favorite phrase is, well, actually, okay, so maybe playing the smart role, right? Or the smart ass. Maybe emotionally charged, ignorant take you've ever heard. All right, so your logic is just your feelings in a trench coat. Okay, this is a really soft argument. Nothing really to bite off there. Bored men will do that online. They'll try to be a smart ass. Like, I've seen it way too many times. I passed this one. It's not significant. Shifting gears over to the men. Let's see if there's anything exciting here. On dating standards, men say, women with a list of 50 requirements including 6 foot, 6 figures, and 6 inches. That's funny. While bringing a personality of, I like travel and tacos. Well, there's nothing wrong with traveling and tacos, but I understand what you mean. And a maxed out credit card, yeah, that's bad. To the table. Yeah, well, let's see what kind of angle this is. Are the reason dating is broken? Well, no, there's a lot of reasons why. You can't just, barrel it down to narrowing it down to that. I don't really... Let's give him a shot. Okay. You're a walking demand with no comparable offer. The point is, men are calling out what they see as unrealistic, hypergamous standards on apps, arguing many women offer little in return for their extensive checklists. Well, I've seen men with 50 requirements too. Actually, I had this contractor come over to my home once, and he was like talking to me about his relationship problems. Because, he knows that I help people with relationships. And then he said, well, I just can't find a woman to meet like my 100. He literally pulled out a checklist. I'm not kidding you. I wish I was making this up. 100-point checklist. At that point, I was just like, yo, dude, just get back to what, we're paying you to do, right? Like, just fix the problem in the house and then, because I don't have time to read your 100-point checklist, right? I mean, it was ridiculous. And then he goes on to read the first 5 points. And it was just like the most stupidest things you can possibly imagine. This happened about a decade ago. And when I was back living in the States. And I was like, I really don't got the time to be listening to this. It was so nitpicky. So, no, I firsthand have seen at least one guy. Other people online, I've seen like not a laundry list, but at least half a dozen. 6 main points. I would narrow it down to... yes, 3 to 10 maximum, but realistically, your top 5 or top 3, the woman has to be like this. That's how well you should know what your gustos are, what you really want, your requirements. Because if you're going to spend your entire life with a person, you better have a top 3 at least of the requirements. She's got to be able to do this. She's got to be able to believe in that, or be this way or that way, and maybe a couple more. Like I said, half a dozen, right? 10 maximum, but you're really pushing it, okay? Now, could be 10 maximum requirements if she works on that. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we're talking about here. I would phase out the argument about travel and tacos. That doesn't bring anything to the table. Maxed out credit card, who cares, right? I mean, that's irresponsible financial spending. So, yeah, that's evidence of maybe that's a red flag there, right? You don't want to get with somebody like that. But not all women are like that. And the 6 foot requirement, a lot of women don't mind. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. He's not 6 foot, right? There's other, I know it's a celebrity, but it's just an example of, the 6 inches is debatable too. There are stupid women out there who demand 10 inches, which is highly unrealistic. And guys, a lot of guys lie about how many inches they have. Not interested in that either. That's just silly business right there. So, this is a very weak argument here. Number one, I can't believe I'm spending so much time on this, but this is very weak. I'm going to pass this up and I'm going to just condemn it because this was very immaturely put together. The only thing I agree with is the 50 requirements because women do it, men do it, not all men and women, end of story. All right, so number 2 on soft life advocacy. The soft life movement, that's so cringe. Is just women rebranding gold digging. Just say gold digging. Why do we have to keep rebranding things? For the Instagram age. You don't want a partner. You want a sponsor so you can post about your piece that someone else funds. Okay. I get it. There are gold diggers out there. I get it, but not all women. The point is, men view this trend as a transparent attempt to glorify a return to traditional provision without accepting any of the traditional reciprocal duties. That's not necessarily true. It's never going to be like the past black and white days where the man supports the woman 100%. There are many men out there, such as myself. I feel that way, that the man should be the provider. But yeah, the economy is pretty brutal. Sometimes your partner has to pull the weight as well. It depends. But ideally, yeah, the man should pull all the weight because the woman takes care of the household and children if you have any. Now, if you don't have any children, then yeah, the place should be squeaky clean, dinner on the table, whatever. It depends what you guys agree with because I believe both the man and the woman should be in the kitchen at different times. And I also believe cleaning and duties like chores are both partners' responsibilities. I even mentioned that in my book many times. But what I'm trying to tell you is that those are mutual responsibilities. So what he's trying to say here about gold digging doesn't really apply to the rest. I mean, yeah, gold digging will always exist, and you can rebrand it the soft life, which is really ridiculous. There's always another set of problems. It's not always financial, like personal problems, mental and emotional problems, past baggage, right? And, just stubbornness outright. So sponsor you. Well, you're just describing what a gold digger wants here. So, I mean, that's not all women. There's plenty of women who are not interested in a man's wallet. And, I cringe so bad when men argue. They say, no, all women care about is your wallet. That is so stupid. You're talking about toxic females who don't deserve to be called real women. Understand? There's just toxic males who don't deserve to be called real men. You should know who these people are. And just simply avoid them. They're not that hard to detect. My goodness. It's your failure to detect them right away that's flawed. And that's why you go out saying that all women are like this. That's an ignorant statement. It's completely false. There are plenty of women who, yes, they won't mind if you have money to bring to the table to make life a little easier or a lot easier. This is why they say the soft life. But not all women care about that. They care about what's in your heart, what's in your soul, what's in your mind. They really do. And if you laugh at that, you're the joker. That's really ironic, isn't it? So with that said, I'm going to have to leave number 2 alone. It's not a strong argument. Just because you mention one type of toxic, female doesn't mean that you're right about all females in general. Number 3, on selective feminism. Modern feminism is a buffet. You take equal pay and sexual freedom, but leave chivalry, financial protection, and never being wrong on the table. You want the perks of both traditional and modern roles while men get the responsibility of both. The point is, men accuse women of engaging in a self-serving, contradictory ideology that maximizes female benefit and male burden. I mean, yeah, that's a feminist extremist who's stupid. All the feminist extremists are stupid. You know, really stupid. I'm talking about just dirt stupid, not worth anybody's time or life. Makes them easier to avoid, right? Just don't give them what they want. They're like trolls. They want attention. You don't feed the trolls. That's what feminist extremists are. I'm against all toxic females and all toxic males. It's always 50-50 with this channel and my beliefs. I want real men and women to step up to the plate and fix this nonsense or ignore this nonsense. If it's not fixable, just ignore it. Let those people burn in their own fires that they created for themselves and that they're still standing in until the very end, until their bones in the dust. You understand? Because modern feminism doesn't even exist. Feminism has already reached its pinnacle, and I don't care about the equal pay thing. I can explain that away easily. Just switch companies. Go get a different job. Stop whining. It is what it is. It's the higher-ups that make those calls. It's the culture of the business. It's not, oh, men against women in the patriarchy. Like, shut up. It doesn't work that way. So what this guy is saying here is that, yes, you're right about feminist extremists, but that's not all women at all. There's many women who don't even participate in that extremism. So let's move on to number 4. I understand his point, but I gotta shoot these down accordingly. It doesn't matter if it's the men or the women saying this. On victimhood clout. Yeah, okay, so the victim card, I imagine. Women have turned being a victim into social currency online. That's interesting to say. The more trauma dumping and vague posting you do, yeah, well, that's just for attention, right? Like I said, don't feed the trolls. The more engagement and support you get. Yeah, what is that? Rage baiting, this they call it? They don't even call it trolling anymore. They call it rage baiting. It's created an incentive to always be aggrieved. The point is, men are criticizing what they see as a performance of suffering. Yeah, I've seen it all the time. For attention and community validation on social platforms, arguing it rewards dysfunction. Yes, I've seen so many stupid women out there who say, I have this mental disorder and this one, and you can clearly tell that they don't. They just have a bad attitude problem. Okay, they're so desperate. They play the victim card all the time. I've seen it. I haven't seen any men do this. You know, I've seen fake crying when they start the camera and then they start to cry, tell the story. Maybe it's take 2 because the camera wasn't recording the first time. It really is pathetic. They just want attention. They want sympathy. They're playing the victim card. They're shoving it in the camera, you know, figuratively. It's just, you can see, you should be able to see straight through them. But unfortunately, there's always going to be those little schmucks in the comments who support them like, oh, I feel your pain and I have that mental issue too. And if it's a legit mental issue, kudos. But how many times do you see people pretending to have that? Seriously? Like, it's like, no, you're just an attention monger. You just want attention for the wrong reasons. You know, and that's what I consider that offensive. Because the people who really do have those mental issues, you're offending them indirectly. It's not that they care, but it's kind of, it's really shameless is what it is. So, yeah, I'll give a point for the guy here on number 4. Absolutely. There's so much of that garbage. And I don't really see men doing that at all. All right, final point from the men here. What do you got? On accountability avoidance, a woman's ultimate argument ender is, I don't give you anything. I don't owe you anything. Well, same thing. It's the slogan of a generation that wants the right to judge everyone harshly while accepting zero responsibility for their own actions, communication, or contributions. The point is, this phrase has become a flashpoint. Men see it as a mantra used to justify ghosting, poor treatment, and a total lack of reciprocity while maintaining a moral high ground. Okay, but how many women actually do this? There's going to be tons of toxic women who do a ton of garbage stuff, right? I don't owe you anything. I don't even care what this is about. If you hear anyone say that, man or woman, I don't owe you anything. I don't know, are you just some stranger that I met you online and you shouldn't really care about what the guy thinks because they're toxic or the woman thinks? I mean, okay. But if you're talking about a relationship, I mean, you can't say it's a slogan of a generation that wants the right to judge everyone harshly while accepting zero responsibility for their own actions. Like, you know, a flashpoint, seriously? No, ghosting is the most pathetic thing anybody can do. It's cowardice. You need to end things either amicably or stringently. Because ghosting, if you run into that person later on, you're pretty much asking for trouble, depending on what the scenario is. So poor treatment and total lack of reciprocity, moral high ground, this is all toxic characteristics. This is kindergarten, okay? It really is, people. Like, what are we talking about? So this whole last point is kind of weak. Unfortunately for the men in this presentation, they're kind of like weaker than the female points, but that doesn't mean all men. There's tons of great men out there, who don't whine and complain about toxic women all the time. They actually invest their time wisely, the moments of their life, on trying to find the perfect partner. There's so many candidates, if they're a good guy, obviously. But if they're, a deadbeat or a loser, then they're going to have a hard time finding the right woman. And then they're going to say, well, all women are like that, and be losers forever, living in denial and pretending to be happy. It is what it is. There's going to be douchebags and there's going to be real men. There's going to be garbage women out there, and there's going to be beautiful, intelligent, passionate women worth living for the rest of your life with. There's a little bit of everything out there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of garbage out there. I can't help you with that. All you need to do is be like a horse with the blinders. Look straight ahead. Don't pay attention to the garbage to your left and right. That's my best advice for you, if you're still having trouble finding a partner. But if you choose to stop, that's your own failure. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. It's on you. Point the fingers at you. Stop pointing the fingers to the rest of the world. Because if you don't act like a loser, you're going to be a loser. Now, if you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to find one, yeah, I'm not going to stop, that's a champion. That's how champions are made. That's how winners are made, not losers. You want to be a winner? Say, I deserve the best relationship I can possibly imagine. And go out there and earn it. You need my help? I'll be right here. With that said, that does conclude today's show. Be sure to tune in next time for more gender war arguments, whether valid or stupid. Also, check out all these I got so much more than just these shows listed here. Exciting shows for you to tune into. Go ahead and binge watch the playlists. And spread the love by mentioning it to other people out there who really need shows like this. And much love, everybody.